What up, guys? It's just me tonight. I wanted to jump on. I wanted us to talk. Pretty sure everyone can hear me. I double checked my settings. I'm going to do it again real quick just to make sure. Um, Everybody can go. I see everybody's jumping in. I see a bunch. I see it growing now. Go to share this out. Go ahead and get everybody out and on here. I see Brent. Anthony told me to. Yeah. Sorry, I just got a message on my phone. What up, guys? As a little bit of my description, I wanted to talk about what Joe Biden talked about today. A little frustrated. It's a lot about the money and the spending and all of that that our government keeps doing. I don't know if very many of you have seen his talk from earlier today. It's very disappointing from a leader of our country. And we will be going over that today. I'll be pulling up the stream that he did on YouTube through the normal stuff with whitehouse.gov. Let me switch back here. But I want to go through with some details of stuff that he said, stuff that is really going to matter, and some of the bold-faced lies, like flat out lies. Now, some of them are true. Some of them he emphasized a lot. Like we're going to get into it in a second. $8 trillion Donald Trump spent in 4 years. Most in president history. In any other presidency. Most in history. But I got some details. We went over it a little bit before, but we're going to go into more. And I want to show this video to show you and to go over. When people are blaming Trump for being so divisive, but then we have this, trying to be nice, special individual as our president today that somehow got 80 million votes, but he keeps getting, people keep yelling at stadiums and NASCAR events and all of those things saying F Joe Biden. How do you get 80 million votes? I don't know. There's a lot of questions there, right? But I do not see enough people here. So get us sharing out. It could be Facebook, could be other things that we're dealing with today because social media is just garbage. But share it out, likes and hit those like buttons, and then share it out on Facebook as much as we can. I don't see any reactions on Facebook either. And I don't know if that's normal. That seems weird to me. Hang on, wait a minute. Do we even have any comments on Facebook? I might have found the problem. Hang on one sec, guys. Facebook says it's live, but for viewership, it doesn't. But for viewership, it doesn't. It is working. I see everybody on Facebook when I pull it up on Facebook, but I can't see you in here. So guess what? We're going to run this. I'm going to run 2 screens. So we're just going to make the most of it. Well, Facebook. Yes. Facebook sucks today. Facebook is garbage today. So ignore all of that. It is, but I'm showing I have 58 viewers on Be the Change Facebook page. Now, if everybody wants to switch over to YouTube, switch over to the Facebook, not Facebook, Be the Change YouTube. Let me go grab a link and I'll just throw it in real quick. Just in case they have problems over there, and then we'll just get going. We're going to get into it. That is the link that is on Carly. If you type in exactly how my name shows up in the bottom left-hand corner, that is how you'll find me. Anyways, so let's just get started. Who cares? Who cares about the viewership? That's not a big deal. It'll be out there. It'll be posted to rewatch if needed. So let's go ahead and get started and pull this stuff up. This is going to be pretty fun. So I don't know if most of you have seen this. I've been taking notes all day. I've reviewed this video a few times. And every time I watch it, I get more frustrated. I really do. And I really hate this. I really don't like this. But the part that I want to emphasize here is a lot of people said, hey, he is our president because he brings unity. He's going to bring unity. He's going to do this. Like, okay. For anybody that says Joe Biden brings unity, you need to watch this video and then let's have a conversation. So I'm going to kick this off. We're going to jump in a few minutes. I'll keep pausing. We'll have some conversations. So share it out, throw in some questions. I'm trying to keep an eye on both because Facebook is up here. I got everything else down here. So I'll try to keep an eye on everything as what's going on as best I can. Give me a thumbs. Everybody, let me know if you can hear that okay.
About what we need today to raise the debt limit. And why the Republicans in Congress, what they're doing today is so reckless and dangerous in my view. Raising the debt limit comes down to paying what we already owe, what has already been acquired, not anything new. It starts with a simple truth. The United States is a nation that pays its bills and always has. From its inception, we have never defaulted. What we pay for, so it keeps us a great nation. Social Security benefits for seniors, salaries for brave service members, and benefits for veterans, and other financial obligations for our people and for our nation. We're able to meet these obligations based on the revenue we receive from taxes and based on our ability to borrow when needed. And in that case, we're able to borrow because we always pay our debt. We always paid what we owe. We've never failed.
Hey guys, does anybody recall we've never failed to pay our debt, but can you guys go 28 trillion in debt? Or I don't recall ever having that opportunity to go 28 trillion in debt and say, we do the right thing. No, you don't. You're not doing the right thing. You can't come and tell me to manage my money when you are 28 trillion in debt. And Brenda, there's a snide comment just before that he made, which I was going to bring up is the very first party he points out is he blames Republicans. The first words out of his mouth, he blames Republicans. That's what's ridiculous. And that's why I was saying this whole thing about Joe Biden brings unity. He's going to bring everybody together. He's going to do the right things. Like, okay, cool. Let's see it. This video proves no. This video also proves a lot of the things about the government that I did explain a couple weeks ago, I think now, about the debt ceiling and the debt ceiling crisis and saying a bunch of things. We're going to get into that stuff as soon as he starts bringing it up.
That's America. That's who we are. That's what's called for. It's called full faith and credit of the United States.
By the way, full faith and credit. So don't spend within your means. Borrow money, which is what bankers and our financial financial system wants you to be doing since we established the Federal Reserve in 1913. And we created this debt ceiling figure and idea and number in 1917. We want to make people get used to borrowing money, not staying within your means. Horrible, horrible habit. Horrible habit.
It's rock solid. It's the best in the world. But here's the deal. There's a cap on what we can borrow.
Let me go back 2 seconds because I was just talking over that part.
What we owe. We've never failed. That's America. That's who we are. That's what's called for. It's called full faith and credit of the United States. It's rock solid. It's the best in the world. But here's the deal.
It's the best in the world. So let me just touch on that for a second. Back in 2011, who was president and who was vice president? Pretty sure it was Joe Biden was vice president. In 2011, S&P downgraded the United States credit from AAA status to AA. And so when you start looking at this, yeah, best in the world, it looks like went back up. We're back to a AAA status as of now. But back when he was in office with his best friend Obama, no, we got downgraded. And they blamed it on 2008. And what have we been saying for the last little bit? Another 2008 is coming. This is not good, guys. Not good at all.
There's a cap on what we can borrow called the debt limit. And only Congress can raise or lower that debt limit. So let me be really clear. This is really important to know. Raising the debt limit is about paying off our old debts. There's nothing to do with any new spending being considered. It has nothing to do with my plan for infrastructure or building back better. Zero. Both of which I might add are paid for. So if we're going to make good on what's already been approved by previous Congresses and previous presidents and parties, we have to pay for it. Social Security benefits, American people are promised, salaries for servicemen and women, benefits for veterans. We're going to have to raise the debt limit if we're going to meet those obligations. And raising the debt limit is usually a bipartisan undertaking, and it should be. That's what is not happening today. The reason we have to raise the debt limit is in part because of the reckless tax and spending policies under the previous Trump administration.
Previous Trump administration. I'm going to emphasize that real quick. We're going to start the video back up, and I'm going to let you hear what he says here in just a second, and then I'll recap it.
In 4 years, they incurred nearly $8 trillion. In 4 years, $8 trillion in additional debt. In bills we have to now pay off. That's more than a quarter of the entire debt incurred now outstanding after more than 200 years.
First of all, 200 years wrong. When we get to this whole thing, we only had this debt ceiling since 1917. Again, Biden, sorry, I hate to break it to you. That's only 104 years. Get it. Math is hard. But when we start looking at these issues and we start looking at how much we keep spending, and he's trying to tell you, hey, this is not for future spending. This is not future. We need to pay past. You have to cut future spending to be able to pay your past. There's no other way to do it. He is lying to everybody, as I see a bunch of the comments in here, and I 100% agree with you. And I know I'm getting passionate, and I'm sorry, people on Facebook. I can't bring up the comments because of Facebook is garbage today, but I see you in there too, saying the same stuff. It's why? Like, why aren't more people, including people that voted for him, being like, no, dude, this is a lie. This is not true. Raising the debt ceiling is not the solution. And yes, the Republicans are fighting against it because usually the Republicans are a little bit more conservative on the spending side. Not conservative in beliefs, but just on the spending side. If we want to be specific on this topic, that's usually all it is. Around spending, they want to cut it unless we're going to war. Like, Republicans love war. And so it's ridiculous. When we start looking at, oh yeah, Trump did $8 trillion in his 4 years. Okay, let's back up a little bit and let's look at his whole term. So when he took office in 2017, all the way up through 2020, he only spent $3 trillion. The other $5 trillion were during COVID, which was making ventilators, providing vaccines out to the rest of the country and to the rest of the world. Who knows what other money we're spending. Also with giving everybody their $600 a month for child tax credits, the stimulus. Yeah, money was spent. And you said the Trump administration did that? No, The entire U.S. government did that. And the U.S. government should be held responsible for it. It's that simple. Don't turn this into a party versus party issue. It's not. This is an issue of people not making logical decisions, and it needs to start turning into that. So let's keep going. There's still more, as you can see it. We're not going to go through all 17 minutes for everyone. Like, he goes into Q&A. Yes, he does do Q&A. So yes, that's a miracle. And Facebook went down today, and so that's probably why. But we're going to get to about 13 minutes because that's a lot of my notes. But yeah, we're going to go through this some more.
And Republicans in Congress raised the debt 3 times when Donald Trump was president, and each time with Democrat support.
That's a lie. He only did it twice.
But now they won't raise it, even though they're responsible for more than $8 trillion in bills incurred in 4 years under the previous administration. That's what we'd be paying off. They won't.
He fails to mention that while him and Obama was in office, they raised it 7 times. And he also fails. He says Trump did it 3 times when Trump only did it twice. And the 2 other times he just suspended the debt ceiling is what has happened, which is where we're at right now on how we are not in government shutdown as of 10/1. So we have suspended the ceiling for a minute to try to figure things out is what we're doing right now.
Raise it even though defaulting on the debt would lead to a self-inflicted wound that takes our economy over a cliff and risks jobs and retirement savings, Social Security benefits, salaries for service members, benefits for veterans, and so much more. A failure to raise the debt limit will call into question Congress's willingness to meet our obligations that we've already incurred, not new ones, we've already incurred. This is going to undermine the safety of U.S. Treasury securities, and it will threaten the reserve status of the dollar as the world's currency that the world relies on. American credit rating will be downgraded. Interest rates will rise for mortgages, auto loans, credit cards, borrowing. Folks, watching at home, you should know this is the Republican position. Here's it is. They won't vote to raise the debt limit to cover their own spending. Democrats voted with them to cover that spending last 4 years, the previous 4 years. They say Democrats should do it alone.
No one is saying Democrats should be doing this alone. No one. Now, as much as everybody knows, I'm more of the middle ground. I'm not Republican or Democrat. I see a little bit of both sides, a little bit more I'm a right-leaning, so I'm more on the Republican side than if anything. However, no one is saying this is like, no, it's one side. It's your fault. No one is saying that other than the left. And by the way, Joe Biden, which we're going to touch on in just a minute, what about you being opposed about when we were trying to increase the debt ceiling during Trump's era? What about when you were against the debt ceiling being increased during the George W. Bush era? You were against that then also. Yes, we get Facebook comments back up now. What up, guys? That is where we got to start looking at these things and being like, Joe Biden, you want to force a divide? And you and your supporters are saying that you bring unity. You are blaming all of one side for this problem. When no, it is all of you in Congress and our government have created this problem. Since 1917, we have been flying off the wagon with money, just spending. 2020 was one of our worst years that we have ever had in spending, because we're now putting more and more people being dependent on the government. Because, oh, we have now child tax credit. We're going to mail you a check every month. Oh, stimulus check. We're going to send you that. It has to stop. We can't keep continuing this way. We'll keep going.
But then they're threatening to use a procedural power called the filibuster, meaning that we'd have to get 60 votes, not 50 votes, to increase the debt limit. This would block the Democrats from meeting our obligations and responsibilities to prevent Congress from raising the debt limit. So let's be clear. Not only are Republicans refusing to do their job, they're threatening to use their power, to prevent us from doing our job, saving the economy from a catastrophic event.
So saving the economy from a catastrophic event, and he's saying the Republicans are threatening a filibuster, very similar to what filibusters have been used from both sides of the aisle for a very, very, very long time. You can't tell me the filibuster is the problem. He wants to remove the filibuster. Now, some of you, I might have heard early on in me joining with Be the Change, I was actually against the filibuster. I wanted it gone. After talking with SUNY, doing some research, and talking with others through all of our platforms, I'm kind of a little bit more coming back. I'll leave it for right now because I see value in it. This is one of the situations. We have to make logical decisions. Michael, you could be lagging because it's on Facebook. Feel free to jump over on YouTube. I can throw in the link again. I just threw the link in just again in case. So he keeps forcing everybody, saying Republicans are making these decisions. It's not Democrats. Democrats will help. No.
I think, quite frankly, it's hypocritical, dangerous, and disgraceful. Their obstruction and irresponsibility knows absolutely no bounds, excuse me, especially as we're clawing our way out of this pandemic. Democrats will meet our responsibility and obligation to this country. We're not expecting Republicans to do their part. They made it clear from the beginning. We tried asking to no avail. We're just asking
more division. It's all the Republicans' fault. It's all the Republicans' fault. We tried asking to no avail. We tried to talk to them. We tried to do this. But no, this guy received more votes in any other presidential history, and he will bring unity. How is this bringing unity? If you want to bring unity, you want to bring in actual details and facts. You are just blaming other people for problems that we've had going on for 104 years, and you can't do math. That's what you're doing, Joe Biden.
Not to use procedural tricks to block us from doing the job that they won't do. Meteor is headed to crash into our economy. Democrats are willing to do all the work stopping it. Republicans just have to let us do our job. Just get out of the way. If you don't want to help save the country, get out of the way so you don't destroy it. We don't have time to delay with elaborate procedural schemes, which Republicans' proposals require. Scores of votes without any certainty at all, many of which have nothing to do with the debt limit at all.
Okay, Republicans, get out of the way. Get out of the way. You're the problem. We need to spend more money. This is ridiculous. He is now breaking up our system and saying our checks and balances and how the United States operates and makes decisions and having multiple parties and multiple people come in together and vote. He wants to just tell the other side, if you don't agree, get out of the way. You are a problem. But no, he's bringing division. Joe Biden is going to bring, not division, he is bringing unity. That's how he got so many votes. Unity. If anybody from the left side of the aisle can explain this to me on how this is not divisive, I don't know what I would love to have a conversation to understand. I don't see it here.
And that's when accidents happen. In the days ahead, even before the default date, people may see the value of their retirement accounts shrink. They may see interest rates go up, which will ultimately raise their mortgage payments and car payments. And the American people, look, I just say it this way. As soon as this week, your savings in your pocketbook could be directly impacted by this Republican stunt. It's as simple as that. Republicans say they will not do their part to avoid this needless calamity. So be it. But they need to stop playing Russian roulette with the U.S. economy. It's one thing to pay our debts already acquired. It's another to require a supermajority to pay the debts already acquired. It's not right. Let the Democrats vote to raise the debt ceiling this week without obstruction.
Let the Democrats vote to raise the debt ceiling this week. Let the Democrats vote. He's again telling Republicans, you don't matter. But this president is going to bring unity. This president is better than Donald Trump. This president is going to save us. You guys know I didn't vote for Trump both times. Look at what he's doing right now. This is pathetic. And then we keep getting told that if you disagree with anybody on the left, you're the problem. You are the problem. And it's coming from the president right here. He's doing it. But this guy is supposed to bring unity.
Or further delays. Democrats in the House have already passed a bill that would do that. It's sitting in the United States Senate where Democrats have the votes ready to pass it. That's the only way to eliminate the uncertainty and risk that's going to harm American families and our economy. Let us vote and end the mess. You know, we've got to get this done. We must get this done. It is, like, as I said, playing Russian roulette to play these games. We can do it this week. Just get out of the way and let us pass it. Thank you.
Mr. President.
So that was most of his speech, but then he goes on in a couple questions, and let me just highlight a couple of them real quick. He goes into questions, and they ask him, like, have you heard from Mitch McConnell? That was one of the first questions. Yeah, that is the first question that gets asked here. Have you heard from Mitch McConnell? I'm switching back around here. And he's like, yeah, I have. I got the letter, but I haven't responded yet, but I will. But he comes on and does this speech, blames Republicans, but he has a letter from Mitch McConnell. A letter from Mitch McConnell. So how can you blame Mitch McConnell's party that that's where the problem is coming from in the Senate? And yeah, Gina, you're probably right. I'm sure there's someone that will read it to him in very slow verbiage that he can understand. But this is what pisses me off. When our government, and I'm not going to say a party itself, Republicans and Democrats have done this forever. They've done this forever. 1917 is when the debt ceiling was established. 1913 is when the Federal Reserve was put in place. And then all of a sudden, we've gone downhill in 104 years. And that's where we're at today. If you want to fix this stuff, we have to start getting rid of people that are doing the old tactics and lying to us constantly. They have to be removed. And yes, we do have to communicate. I saw someone just throw that in the chat, that we have to contact everybody in Congress. I saw that in there, but I lost it. Our House reps, our Senate reps, even though House has already voted, it could go back to them because it gets amended. It has to go back to Congress for approval again. So they have to see, they will have to go through it again. We have to be communicating with House and Senate. Communicate, bombard them, annoy them. That the debt ceiling doesn't need to be raised. We need to fix our spending. We might need to temporarily increase our debt ceiling. I do not want what happened in 2018, 2019, when our military went without any pay while being overseas, deployed here on American turf. They went without any money for 35 days. They did not get paid. Our military did that. It took the brunt of it. There is other government people that didn't get paid during that period of time too, and they took a big hit. We can't have this. Do not blame, like what Joe Biden did, on Republicans. We can't, as anybody that has an opposing view, we can't blame it on Democrats. This has been a compounding issue for 104 years, and we're just waiting for this to happen. So we have to get our budgets in order and start hounding them and asking them how we do this. And Shelly, and I see a few people in the chat, term limits, 100%. Term limits have to be, but that one's a tough thing to sell, to be like, oh yeah, you only get to survive in Congress for 8 years. So that's all your careers are worth. But we'll have another conversation about that another day. So he also was asked a question about, because there was 2 Democrats that did not vote for this in the Senate, or would not vote for this, and he would only end up with 48 votes. And he kept pointing, like one of the journalists asked, "Hey, so do you blame them? Do you blame those 2 people?" And he's like, "I blame what did he say? Let me fast forward to the time. 9:36. Let's do this. I'm gonna get up to that so you guys can hear it.
Where he has only 50 votes.
So he's trying to get,
And a bare majority.
so just so you guys know, to describe it real quick, if so the basic majority is 50, right? But if someone does a filibuster and pushes it all the way through, you have to get 60 votes, which is almost impossible considering where our government sits right now. Like, they don't get along. There's no way to make that work. And so he needs 50. And 2 people on his side, on the Democratic side, are, no, I don't think so. And here's where he gets asked.
In the House. This is a process. This is a process. We'll get it done.
It sounds like you're putting the blame squarely on 2 U.S. senators for your inability to close that deal, Senator Sinema and Senator Manchin. Am I incorrect? Is that who the blame lies with?
Look, I need 50 votes in the Senate. I have 48.
Leader Schumer.
So he won't even look at the 2 people in his party and say, I need you to get on board. He will blame everything else on a Republican. Everything. In that one statement, he proved it all. When I was watching this earlier today, I was getting furious, and I was pissed that Facebook was down because I wanted to go out and have this conversation earlier. I'm disappointed in our government. If you guys can't tell, our government isn't in it for our country. They aren't doing the best for our country. They are not representing us anymore. We are needing to do something. And right now, communication with Congress, House and Senate, needs to be overwhelming with them. They need to know that we are pissed and things need to change. Now, again, it's likely that we are going to need to increase the debt ceiling to get by right now. It's likely. But if we can put some checks and balances in place in a bill and pass it and cut our spending like Trump did, for example. That's how Trump didn't spend a whole lot of money in his first few years, because he cut all of those departments out of the government that were useless and were just raking in the money. Those were great things that he did as a president. Joe Biden's trying to just put them all back and be like, yeah, we'll pay you $140K a year. Why not? It's not my money. These are the things that we got to be paying attention to, guys. I told you this is going to be a topic that I'm going to push and I'm going to emphasize quite a bit. I hate that our government really just isn't for America anymore. We have to start calling it like it is. I don't care what party we're in. Our government does not represent the best for America anymore. And if anybody wants to challenge me on that, let's talk. Legit, let's talk. Because show me where that was done. One last note on my way out. How many times did the Democrats use a filibuster during Trump's era? 327 times versus Republicans doing it once. Do not be a hypocrite. Make sure you hold both sides accountable. What Joe Biden demonstrated today is absolutely ridiculous and has shown everything about what career politicians do. Make it a great evening, guys. Great week. It's Monday. We will be back for Truth Will Set You Free tomorrow, so you will see that up. Wake Not Woke stuff, you'll be able to see it on the Be the Change pages and stuff like that. So don't forget there. But love you. Share this out. We'll talk to you guys later.